But essentially, my new best week, Jack's new best week, just insane opportunity. And again, we'll go over that, so I don't want to cover that too much. The next week was, I think, just as much opportunity, but I let the opportunity from the week prior kind of get the best of me, and thinking I can kind of do it again. Not do it again, but still like full on, like balls to the walls, take, massive amounts of profits for week 2. And it just like slapped me right in the face. I mean, I lost like 10K that week, which I tweeted I lost 0.6% of my trading capital, and people thought I meant like 60%, like I blew up. And that's I was being sarcastic, everybody. Like that, I lost literally even though it was the biggest dollar losing week money wise, it is actually shocking to me. It actually made me realize how small of a losing weeks I've had in percentage terms.
How's it going, everyone? Matt Monaco here. Another episode of Twist. I have Jack and Kyle, per usual. If you're new, we do this every week. Make sure you like, you subscribe. We're going to break down our trades, what we're thinking in the markets, how we're doing as traders. So if you're not new, thanks for watching once again. This is like the best time of the week. I get to catch up with Kyle and Jack here. But what are you guys thinking? I know Kyle had a rough week, 0.6%. If you follow him on Twitter. Let's talk about it. What happened, man?
I'll break it down week by week so far. First week, which we'll go over because I don't think we went over it. I think all the madness happened after that Twist episode that week, and then we didn't do a Twist episode last week, so we'll go over that with AMC. But essentially, my new best week, Jack's new best week, just insane opportunity. And again, we'll go over that, so I don't want to cover that too much. The next week was, I think, just as much opportunity, but I let the opportunity from the week prior kind of get the best of me, and thinking I can kind of do it again. Not do it again, but still like full on, like balls to the walls, take, massive amounts of profits for week 2. And it just like slapped me right in the face. I mean, I lost like 10K that week, which I tweeted I lost 0.6% of my trading capital, and people thought I meant like 60%, like I blew up. And that's I was being sarcastic, everybody. Like that, I lost literally even though it was the biggest dollar losing week money wise, it is actually shocking to me. It actually made me realize how small of a losing weeks I've had in percentage terms. Because if that's my new biggest losing week dollar wise, and it's not even a full percent of the amount I'm trading with, like maybe I need to size up more because it's incredibly small. But really with that week, I mean, it should have been like a 50K week, and I lost 10, so no big deal. But this week, it's only been 2 days, but the first 2 days have been lackluster. Like they've been kind of choppy, nothing really great. But I'm up like 5 or 6K on the week. So for the amount of opportunities this week and being green, the amount of opportunities last week and being red, quite a different shift. But I'm happy I'm green this week and just staying alive. So.
What about you, Mr. 400K man, back to back, 400K man? How are you doing?
So I think it would be cool to review like a Twist episode we did at the beginning of the month. It was 2 Thursdays ago. What was the date on that? Let's check real quick.
It was
we recorded, I think, on the
3rd.
Second.
We recorded the first and we posted it the 3rd.
Okay. So yeah, that would be cool to go back and watch because the thesis on AMC is pretty spot on. We got the opportunity that we were all looking for and traded it really, really well. AMC was a really very interesting stock because you could take a lot of size on it considering how big the float was and how big the market cap was, because it's not like a low float where it's going to skip up, $3 a share on you, where it still would skip up, but it took a lot more volume for it to go up. So you could get in and out with a larger amount of shares without too much slippage. So AMC definitely sized up a lot on that one. And like Kyle was saying, like we went balls to the wall the first week of June, and then the second week of June was a little bit tough because after you come off a few big trades, it's kind of hard to readjust your mindset to regular trading. And that definitely is what I think tripped up Kyle a little bit. And that also tripped me up a little bit, but I did pretty good last week. Like I had a very, very solid week, was green every day. But I did get a little bit frustrated here and there because it wasn't the same kind of opportunity, and I had to shift my mindset back to the norm. And then this week so far, it's been really, really slow for me. I've been tired. It's been like raining out, and I've just been watching shows and cooking and doing whatever, running some errands, and not really trading too much. I think I've made a few trades, but only up a couple grand on the week, nothing crazy. And that's what I'm going to look to just kind of take it slow for the rest of the week too, to preserve my energy for that next really, really good opportunity. There could be some decent opportunities going into the end of the week, but nothing that I think's A plus.
I agree. Something I noted last week, I've been telling a lot of people, everyone who just like messages me or I interact with, the market just like shifted a little bit from that first week of June. It's choppier now. A lot of the trades, I'm having a decent week. Mostly just playing like morning spikes on first screen days, and I'm gonna go over one I did today. But yeah, it's more like there's a follow through isn't there, at least not that I'm seeing. It's choppier, and a lot of times I gotta be quicker just with my entries and exits. That's kind of what I'm seeing. But yeah, let's break it down. Kyle, if you want to share screen here, I'll start it off with my MEDS, and then you guys can break down everything that happened with AMC because that one was pretty wild. All right, so
I'm gonna go to the daily.
Yeah, let's go to the daily. I had a very similar trade to MEDS, and CLOV was Monday yesterday. Today's Tuesday on my trade on it. Basically just for a screen day pattern. Tim Gratani actually breaks it down really good in his train tickers too. He calls it, I think, first screen day reversal or something, but it's the same pattern. Basically, the way I find these is it's not per se a scanner. You'll see them because they're former runners. They went on a big run. Maybe they gapped up huge. MEDS gapped up, had a great spike, and ultimately failed and got crushed. So at that point, it's on my radar. And something I want to note here is the volume. So we had a really big spike that first day. We had what it looks like 2 red days in a row. Today was going to be the 3rd red day. So there's a reversal I'm looking for, but also you'll notice the volume. That first day it traded like 150 million shares, and then immediately didn't go anywhere. Nate from Investors Underground talks about this a lot. He calls it like a liquidity trap, and that's where I've seen several plays like this, and it happens time and time again. Just big short sellers are attracted to these stocks, and when the liquidity dries up, there's only so much volume for so many shorts to cover. If some people are swing shorting them, whether they're big or small shorts, there's just literally is not enough volume for some of them to cover. So you'll see typically a morning spike, and these ones are my favorite on the reversals because the spikes are pretty good. And that's what we saw this morning on MEDS. I was watching it. It's kind of based the last couple of days and was holding more or less the same levels, right around $5. And this morning, it just didn't pull out of the gate, and that's kind of why I was watching it. And then after about 3 minutes, some more volume started to come in, and I bought my shares. I think like 525 was my average, and I was just risking more or less green red. And we got a really good morning spike as just all the volume came in, and the chasers came and pushed it up, or maybe shorts were covering. But I took off my profits in the 570s, 580s. I think 589 was my best sell, but just took the morning spike. Super simple trade. The risk was pretty tight there, and I was done with the trade in like less than 5 minutes. But you notice the daily chart lined up, and then the intraday chart lined up as well. I posted both these charts on Twitter, so make sure you go check them out just for my entries and exits. But CLOV, very similar pattern. If you want to pull it up real quick, very similar pattern yesterday. This one was a little different. I like these ones a little bit more, where CLOV on Friday last week based pretty well. So based pretty well, but held out of Monday's morning, held the key levels, and then it grinded up until 11 a.m. And that 11 a.m. zone is roughly the time where we'll get like maybe a midday squeeze. And that's exactly what we saw. Had pretty easy risk level and just caught this quick little squeeze spike as it busted through into the green. And the same, if you pull the daily chart, CLOV, similar thing, huge runner, pulled back multiple days, And now I'm just looking for basically a quick bounce on it. It's not a breakout trade where I'm looking to swing it for a day or two. It's quick, first green day trade, nail it, and then just move on. And those are my two main trades this week. And I will pass the mic over to the breakout and breakdown boys. We can talk about AMC.
I like these trades. These are nice. Clove, I looking at this daily chart, I just feel like an idiot. Like not an idiot, but just I remember looking at this chart and I was like, this is going to be a great short, and I just watched it fade from 28 down to 17, and not even pressing any buttons on it. So that was sucked. But no big deal. You know, we made plenty of money on AMC, which we can go over. AMC here. Let's go to the daily. So new best ticker for me, and new best week. I think Jack can say the same. Okay, I know Jack can say the same. So many trades. I don't even know how to even remember even 10% of them. There's a lot, but essentially, so the first big one was, I think we talked about this on the last twist, because this is before our last episode, was this first red day, which we made pretty decent money on. But then it gapped up, and if you and that's a pretty unexpected gap up to have such a strong, to run from 12 all the way up to 32, sell off for a first red day down 25, and then the next day have a gap up to back to 32. That's a huge trap, and we saw something like that on GME. I think Bryce tweeted out a chart like this. I know there was a couple other people talking about it, and someone made a YouTube video on it. But you go back to GME back in January here, you see kind of the similar thing, right? Where GME runs up huge red day, or at least red candle. It closed green on the day, but then the very next day, I mean, it just traps everybody. Like any short who thought it was over, you know, seeing a big, huge daily look like this, and then the next day for it to gap up and kind of just squeeze everybody out. It wasn't surprising that we'd end up gapping up like $200 a share, especially with the meme stock craze that we saw in January. So when we look at like something AMC, which was part of the meme stock sector back here, but now has become the leader, and you see something similar where huge sell-off, and then the next day it actually kind of supports everything. Like all the selling was just kind of like, just kidding. You know, we're still holding up. That was a huge indicator that, you know, a lot of traders thought was a squeeze, including myself. For me, being a trader who has never made money on a listed breakout, this is one that I actually did. Granted, I don't trade them a lot, so don't think I just take a lot of trades and lose on all of them. There's, you know, a very rare instance where I will take this trade, and I did because of how convicted I was from GME's example. But took it long and after hours, you know, around this spacing level, and then started uptrending and squeezing. Next morning, it actually held the 36 breakout level from here. This was the high of that red day I referred to, 36.50. It actually held that level out the morning, so I held long. Sold a little bit into the, what is this, the 41s, and then I sold the rest into this move up towards 50, thinking I was smart and selling into a huge spike. And then we see this thing go absolutely nuts all the way up to 73. Shorted a few parabolics. I shorted this parabolic, this lower high, this parabolic, and this lower high. I made some pretty solid money on this day. Made some money on this day as well. I got to look at the charts to completely remember what I did, but I definitely remember cutting it into this spike, thinking it was going to go green, but then immediately noticed right when it couldn't go green, I immediately shorted right back. Like, I mean, I literally took a loss and immediately reshorted because I knew I got caught out and I probably shouldn't have covered in the first place. Covered it into this pull, reshorted this bounce, covered in like the mid area here, didn't get this new low day. And I remember I wanted to swing it, but then this is when they put out the news that they were done with their financing. So I mean, that created a whole new squeeze. And so I think I lost some money. You know, I covered over this bounce high, gave some money back, but not too much. And then we went back green. You know, 62 was the red green mark, and we went back green like this. I thought we were going to 100. You know, again, it's just another example of a huge sell-off, and then to come back like this on news like that, and then literally, you know, approach yesterday's highs. I mean, I thought we were going to see like some black swan move. But we didn't. You know, whoever wanted to get out got out. Selling started coming back in. Don't even remember any trades this day. So that was essentially what my new best week was from those trades. What really screwed me up was, if we go back to the daily chart, this number 6 bounce short from the penny stocking framework. If you've seen that DVD, it's a great resource. So we have the 3, the 2 and the 3, we have the 4, here's the 5, and then we're looking for this 6, this wave. And I actually tweeted about this, about like the wave of a bubble. And so I was looking for this fade, and I kind of wanted to swing short it and like capture its full move. I would have loved to, short in the high 50s and cover in the low 40s or even the high 30s. And so what really screwed me up is that each and every single one of these days, these 3 red days, I kept trying to fight. Well, one, I kept pushing size that I wasn't willing to accept. Or I was pushing size, feeling good from the week prior, thinking I can accept these bigger losses, and I just couldn't. Emotionally, I couldn't. So that was screwing me up. And then also at the same time, I'm trying to swing and day trade at the same time. Like every single day, I'm trying to cover into dips, but then hold a piece of the core to swing. And then later in the day, it like squeezes me out, and it was just all bad. I mean, every single day there was a trade where I emotionally started covering or re-entering and reshorting, and I pretty much whiffed this entire time. I mean, I remember being up like 20K on this day, 20K on this day, lost 20K on this day, like, and then in terms of realized, I only made like 4K here, 4K here, and then lost like 10 grand at the end of the day here. So in terms of the emotional P&L swings of how much I was up, how much I didn't take because I wanted to, swing it and just nail it, quote unquote, and then to the final piece of cake where like my thesis actually played out and went down to the low 40s, and I'd already taken a loss from getting squeezed in the morning. I mean, I was done. I was totally emotionally like sucked out. Was ready for the weekend and just took that week red. And just a good lesson, it sucks that I closed red, and it could have been easily a 5-figure week, but it just good. The lessons I learned was like, I can't try to day trade and swing at the same time. Like I need 2 separate accounts. I should be locking in gains every single day in the day trade account if I really want to have patience for the swing account. And if I have a swing account, especially something like AMC, I have to have like a wide stop. I mean, you can really see how choppy it is. And if you try to set, a particular stop at any one day, be prepared to have your P&L be up a lot and then down a lot. And so I just was not prepared for that, even though my thesis was dead on, my trade plan was not, and just kind of gave it all back. But I'll let Jack go over before we talk about what's happening here, because I've been rambling on. But yeah, that's how I played it for the last about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle pretty much summed it up. The only portion I think I played it a little bit different was with the initial long. I was a little bit more patient to sell my shares like in the high 60s, just because I thought that like a lot of people wanted to push it up towards 100. So I thought that just at 50, like it was extended, but I felt like it wasn't extended enough yet. So I went ahead and sold. I sold the long really well. I think my average exit was 60 or 62 or something. But I was scaling out into that first spike and the second spike, and then I even held a little bit more that I just ended up selling into the consolidation. The next day I ended up waking up early pre-market, and I didn't think I did a very good job at recognizing quickly enough that this was the time to get short, because they did an ATM at the market offering, but it wasn't a very big ATM, and that's what scared me. And as it was dipping towards support there on that bad news, I did end up getting short into that very first bounce after the weakness, but it was a very small position, and ended up just covering that into the dips. And I think I could have done a little bit better there pre-market, because the volatility was pretty clean to the downside and the upside. And then towards the market open, I was a little skittish as it had that big perk towards green to red. And in the back of my head, I was like, this thing is going to trap on this bad offering news. But once it ended up fading towards the open, I was a little bit more convicted, because it was opening not very close to red to green. And I ended up getting a pretty big position short at the open right near 60. And I covered 2/3 of that in the first dip down there near 51, 52. And then as it popped back, this is something I want to work on moving forward, is while it's having strength and bouncing, like I just kind of short, like expecting it to fail. Whereas I want to be a little bit more patient and wait for it to fail, even if it's a worse entry, because in the situation here, I got too big of size, and as it started pushing right towards red to green and DAS trader was lagging and the tape was lagging, I ended up covering like my very big position right at 62.30, right near the high of the day. And then SSR was on, so it was hard, and DAS was lagging again, so it was hard for me to fill the size I wanted to back in the 60s. And then I ended up getting a small piece towards 57, but I didn't really like how, like, it's literally a $5 difference, so I just couldn't put on the kind of size I wanted to put on. So then as it panicked, I pretty much missed that entire move, and it was really unfortunate. And I went to dip buy it too, and they only filled me 34 shares. But my best trade on it was when it did bounce. Something that Kyle and myself have learned is like these things are going to bounce a lot higher than we initially expected. At least for Kyle and I, like we always thought that like a smaller bounce we would start shorting, but as we keep trading these supernovas, we're more patient for VWAP or even over VWAP to get short these number 6 intraday bounces. So I was really, really patient and didn't end up taking my first starter to like 54. And, you know, when it's at 54, it's a $10 share bounce, which was very ideal. And then scaled into that position, 55, 56, 57. And then as we started fading off, just ended up covering that into the 50 washout right there. And that ended up being a really nice $5, $6, $7 share trade on big size. And that was probably my best executed part of the framework this day, which was a little bit irritating because usually the bounce short has the least range compared to the dip buy and the initial crack. So it was a little frustrating, but I still did end up capitalizing a lot and just opened up my eyes to what's possible when I'm on my game and we get another opportunity like this. Moving forward towards midday there, I ended up buying a few dips, but I felt myself burning out because yesterday I was at the screens all day watching AMC and the day before and that previous Friday. So fortunately for me, I took off around midday and I missed that squeeze out. And I feel like I would have gotten absolutely screwed on that spike if I had too big a size, risking 50, and it skipped up really quick on that news. So I'm grateful for not being there, although I feel like I probably would have made it back towards that when it started fading off, or even logging it through green to red. But that's just funky price action I don't want to be a part of. And then moving on to the next week, I ended up just taking some scalps on it as best that I could. I ended up trying to hold a little bit first swing similar to Kyle, but my portion of my swing would be a very small percentage of the shares that I was trading on the day, maybe like 10 or 20%, maybe I would swing, but ended up just covering it because I got bored or I had to go do something. And I ended up making pretty good profits on it this week as well. I think I made like another 100,000 on AMC this week. My biggest trade on it was that, what day was it? I think it was the overextended gap down day. Go back. I think it's, no, I missed it. We whiffed that day when it went green. I think it was 2 days prior.
This day? This is the overextended gap down day.
Yeah. So that was the price action that was most familiar for me, where it was gapping down and we had that quick pop. If you see that wick on the chart to 53, 54. I think I ended up getting a nice position short in the 53s and ended up taking that sub 50, and then bought the dip for $1 a share, $1 or $2 a share, and that was a really nice $3, $4, $5 a share on a big size again. And I think I made like 60 or 70,000 on it on that trade. And other than that, I mean, AMC was just a phenomenal ticker on the past 2 weeks and my new biggest ticker. Moving forward, going to be looking for another number 6 here as it has bounced from 40 to 65, which is over 50% bounce. And what's really, really nice is that it didn't go red today. It did tap green to red and it created a really big resistance level right underneath VWAP today. So I'm going to be looking for, I think, an overextended gap down tomorrow, maybe, for the same kind of trade I made on it 1 week ago. And I'll look to size into some sort of morning spike, into resistance, and then cover into the morning pull, and maybe buy the dip if it gets crushed.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I think the same thing. I'll be more conservative. I think my lesson that I talked about learning swing, like Jack said, where he made a lot of money on that overextended gap that day, is because he shorted and covered. Easy money, like literally, if you look at it, pretty much the entire day's range was in this first 10 minutes. You could have shorted more aggressively because it's something we know and are convicted in. It's one of our better setups. Shorted size, cover dips, and then gone. And I think that was Jack. I think Jack left the rest of the day. Meanwhile, me over here, I like shorted, covered like a fourth. I was like, no, I want to keep like my main size for the swing. And then I just see it go back to my entry. And I'm like, oh, this is sick. This is fun. Then it's watch it fade. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be right. And then late day literally come back to my entry. And I'm like, screw this. I'm out. And then watch it fade again. So this is just one of the 3 days. And this day was like every single day. So you understand why I was red. But coming into this next day, like Jack said, probably maybe another overextended gap down, hopefully a nice washout. But that washout will probably be the max range for the day. I would have to guess. It might not be, but I'm going to go back to day trading. No swing trading for me, at least on something like AMC, which is, if you watching this, you might either understand the AMC squeeze mob, or you're a part of it. And if you aren't a part of it, just Google or like search on Twitter #AMC squeeze, and just read these people's comments. I'm not going to make any judgments on them. I'll let you do that for yourself. But if you want to be really interested and like entertained, just look at these tweets. It's quite amazing, the people that are in this stock. It's truly incredible. So go check that out. That's all I got to say. I got nothing left to add. So
the AMC Apes, I'm going to join him here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that this breaks out come like Thursday, right? I'm just saying, I don't know if it's gonna, but I wouldn't be shocked. Look at it. It's basically back at highs. There's some resistance. Tomorrow, all the short sellers like Jack and Kyle here are gonna get a little morning dip, I think. And then Kyle and Jack are smart short sellers. They're probably gonna cover. And then the dumb short sellers, I think, are just gonna hold on to it. And then it's gonna go sideways because, like Kyle said, most likely I think the whole day's range is gonna be basically that morning dip. And if it consolidates all day, come Thursday, I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility that this thing breaks out and goes to the moon. I'm going to take the opposite side of this bet here.
Yeah, well, that's why I made that point of like, I've never been a good swing trader for listed shorts, and specifically don't want to swing something like AMC for that reason of like, I think this thing should be back down to like $20 right? Where it came from, right?
It's way too close to
high. And I thought we were done when we had this huge pull. But the fact that we have come back like this, that's why I will not be swinging this, because I'm going to take the most predictable piece that I see, and then I'm running, because I just don't. Again, if you read the tweets, if you search #AMC squeeze, and you read who I'm trading against, right? I don't want to. In some aspects, I don't want to trade against them because they're so committed to this. There's too many. They're so committed. And if honestly, part of me would love to see it go to 100, because it's going to have a whole, like, everything we just went through this last like 20 minutes of AMC, from this long breakout to this great short to these next few bounce shorts, like it's going to happen all over again if it goes to 100 or 120 or 80 or wherever it wants to go. Like there's gonna, if the AMC apes want to just keep on with this thing, please do, because it's just gonna lead to more opportunities for traders like us to make more money. So for entertainment and for potential future opportunities, I support.
Right. I've never seen something like that happen. I've never seen it happen, but it's possible, right? Like this is already up so much. It just, what gets me is it's literally like knocking on the highs door. after like some consolidation decently, yeah, it's a big bounce, but I think give it 1 day of like real consolidation, and then all the new short sellers will be risking the highs. All it takes is like a gap up. They just gap it up 1 day, it's toast. Like we could see something just insane. So I'm rooting for it, honestly. Like Kyle said, I'd love to see it. I'll try to be a part of it. It's tough for me because it's up so much to really want to buy it. But if there's a key level, I'll send it to the moon.
Yep. So we'll see how it plays out.
Boom. So that's really it. Any closing remarks or what?
So Jack, I was listening to Jack's webinar in our chat room breakouts and breakdowns yesterday, and he made a point talking about what months are great and typically good from a seasonality standpoint, and how winter and is usually pretty busy, summer's pretty slow, except with the exception of June. June has always offered a huge opportunity the last 2 or 3 years, especially last year with CYDY, this year with AMC. But I think, Jack, you mentioned what was your August or September is one of your worst months.
Yes.
And I'm September. Yeah. And I'm in the similar same boat. So just, overlooking, foreshadowing future weeks and months. This is why I push it when we see something like AMC and have my new best week, because I just don't know what's to come. So I'm not going to make any predictions, but just August and September are usually slower. Fully prepared to just take a chill pill. And we'll just see. We'll see how it goes.
I agree. Even last summer, like 2020 was madness, but August and September were the slowest months of 2020. And then we talk about August 2019 all the time, and that thing was just that was so boring. If you were trading, it was just so slow. So yeah, I mean, there's an art of learning how to turn it up and turn it down, and turn it up at the right times and the right way. And that just comes with experience, and Jack and Kyle did it beautifully. So yeah, definitely learn from their examples of what they did on AMC. The opportunity was there, they turned it up at the right time. Now they're just learning how to like turn it back and just wait for the next opportunity. Many levels of trading, it's pretty wild. So that's all I really got, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Twist, as always. Once again, if you've made it this far, we appreciate you. Click that like, subscribe button, leave us a comment. What you think AMC is going to do. We do this every week, so can't wait to see you guys next week. Yeah, just thinking about it out loud here. We possibly could do a Twist in person or something like that. Let's see if we can coordinate it, because that'd be really cool. But that's all we got, guys. See you later. Have a good one.